I'm Sarah Rathburn here with Linda Fitzgerald and Tara Henry Madden. We are with Healthy Fayette County, and we want to talk to you a little bit today about healthy winter activities.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited to be
You're
here.
on, lady.
I'm excited to be here. So I think, first of all, the new year, everybody thinks about new you, new year, let's get moving and let's do some things like that, which is a great time to start an exercise program. But the one thing I always encourage people is measure against yourself, meaning that don't go into the gym or your workout place with the idea that I'm going to do what everybody else is doing in there. Start with what you're comfortable with what you enjoy, and then let it build from there, because that way you're going to be more likely to stay with it. You're also going to be less likely to get hurt, and it's going to be enjoyable. And why not make it enjoyable? If we're going to try to work out and get healthy, let's make it as enjoyable as possible. So I think when I look at that, and I tell my people every day when they come to classes, they're like, oh my gosh, today I was only able to do one push-up. Well, that was one more than you did yesterday. And that was one more than anybody that's still sitting at home is doing. So we've got to win. So I think that's, like I said, the biggest thing when we look at getting started. Let's be reasonable and let's look at some things that we can do that are enjoyable. So with that said, let's talk about some of the gyms here in Connersville and in Fayette County. 3 options. You've got BAM, you've got Anytime, and you've got the new Enjoy Fitness. Each gym has its own niche. And so I think when you look at a gym, visit all 3. Kind of think about your goals. Do I want to do a lot of lifting and maybe some, bulking up and that kind of thing? Do I just want an overall gym where I can go get cardio and strength training? Or do I want to look at more of a wellness picture where maybe I want to incorporate a little bit of mental and spiritual wellness into my fitness routine as well? And so with that said, take the tours, talk to the gyms. But the one thing I would encourage people, no matter what gym you settle on, pay for at least one personal training session. And the reason I say that is because if you're new to a gym, or even if you've been in a gym, but this is a gym that's new to you, you might not know how to use all of the equipment. So pay for that personal training session. Have someone who is knowledgeable share with you how to use the equipment properly, because A, it's going to keep you safe, and B, you're going to get the most bang for your buck because you're going to be able to use that equipment efficiently, and then you're going to see results that much faster. So that was one thing I wanted to make sure we stressed. Look at the gym, try to match a gym to your goals, and then personal training, get that session, get in there, learn how to use the equipment, and then go from there, okay? The other thing with my passion is group fitness, and I absolutely love group fitness. So for anybody that doesn't know what group fitness is, it's a group. We in Fayette County, my classes are filled with a diverse group. And so in that said, I show levels and options for people of all fitness levels, all enjoyments, and we have lots of different classes. So I have silver sneakers, I have step, I have boot camp, I have total conditioning, indoor cycling, and then I'm so excited. We're adding a couple of new classes at Enjoy. I teach at Enjoy Fitness. We're adding some new classes, and the one that I'm probably most excited about, it's going to meet on Thursday afternoons for a half an hour at 12:45, and it's called Balance Break. We're going to focus on balance.
Oh, wow.
Balance and coordination, because especially in the winter, we get snow and ice, easy to slip and fall, but if I've got good core strength and I've got good balance and I've got good coordination, hopefully I'm going to risk or minimize my risk of a fall or an injury if I do happen to fall. So like I said, on Thursdays at 12:45, it's called Balance Break, and we're going to focus on just that. And I'm hoping some of the people that are maybe on their lunch break will come and join us, because it's not going to be a cardio class. You're not going to get sweaty and walk out of there just dripping in sweat. But like I said, we're going to build that core strength, and that's so important for all of our activities, but especially in the winter, when there is maybe that risk of snow and ice and a fall. So that's one thing. We're also adding a class called Triple Threat. It's going to be 15 minutes of arms, 15 minutes of abs, and 15 minutes of legs. And we're going to just do a variety of exercises there again to build some strength and help with that balance and that coordination. And then we're going to add a class called Lengthen to Strengthen. Research has shown that if I can lengthen those muscles out, they are going to be more efficient at getting stronger. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And in that class, I want people to be warm when they come in. So I would encourage people to come in, do about 30 minutes of physical activity, get that blood flowing, have those muscles warm, because warm muscles are going to stretch and lengthen, and you're going to see more benefit when those muscles are warm and we ask them to stretch. So,
Tara, where are we going to find out about these classes and reinforce their times? And are they part of memberships, or how do we get involved?
well, like I said, I teach at Enjoy Fitness, and that is in the old HealthWorks facility right now. So we are at 3542 Northwestern Avenue. The classes, we have a lot of different options. So our just general monthly membership is $30, but then the classes are on top of that. We have packages that you can add. So we'll sit down with you and we'll look at how many times do you think you're going to come to a class per month? And that way we can find a package that works best for you, and those classes then carry over to the next month. They have a 3-month expiration. So if you're going to come maybe once a month, then we might look at doing a 10-class pass, but that's going to last you almost 2 months, or actually a little over 2 months if you're coming once a month, okay? Or once a week, once a week. So like I said, monthly membership is $30. We add class packages, or you can just do the classes and not pay for the monthly membership. You could just come in and buy a class package, and that way you're just in there to do the packages. We did go to 24 hours. I'm so excited about that. So we have key fobs, and now we are a 24-hour access gym. So I'm very excited about that. They get a key fob. You can come and work out at any time, which I think is a wonderful thing. So a lot of good things happening at all of the gyms in Connersville. I'm most excited about Enjoy because that's where I teach, and I love my participants. And I feel that that's a gym that really focuses on wellness. We truly are a family. My fitness people that come to my classes, they've formed groups within our group. So they kind of check on each other. Somebody's going to be late to class today. Oh, somebody else is going to go ahead and have their equipment out for them. And they've just really formed that community, that sense of family. And I think, too, that's a big thing because gyms can be a little bit intimidating. So if you've got that community and you know you've got those support people and they're counting on you to be there, you don't want to let them down. So again, working out with a partner or getting into one of those group fitness classes, I think you're going to see, your success rate, and you're going to find that you build that habit faster if you can get in with somebody else and build that community.
One of the things I found when it was HealthWorks was it tends to bring in a more mature audience. My favorite word, vintage. And I was very comfortable there because of that. And the bodybuilders were kind of off to themselves. When I lived in Brown County, I worked out daily at the Barbell Club in Columbus. Yeah, it was Columbus. And it was all bodybuilders. And they were, they weren't really warm and fuzzy. And it was a younger group of folks. I was probably one of the more vintage of the whole group. And it really was truly intimidating. So I really resonate with what you're saying about pick. And it's not just the gym itself, it's the environment, it's the audience that they attract. And so, and the group thing is wonderful because as we do get more vintage, we tend to kind of be isolated because we live away from family, we lose people that we've been close to for a lot of different reasons. We may live by ourselves.
Yes.
So I think coming and working out with a group that's the mental, emotional,
it is
spiritual piece of it.
And that's what resonates wellness. We have to look at all three components, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, because that's what promotes wellness. And I would say that's truly, I know with my Silver Sneakers, one of our biggest goals is that wellness and building that sense of community. And then, like you said, avoiding that isolation.
Yes.
For the mental part of it, that's huge. Yes.
It really is. And particularly, well, even for young people with the data that Sarah shared
Yes.
in last month's program about suicides and drug-related deaths, and the fact that we're seeing people of young ages who
Right.
are dying in our community says to me that there's a loss of, well, the word that comes to me is meaning, and so coming and being with other people.
Sure.
And we know physically what physical exercise
Right, for the
does
endorphins alone.
what it does for the body, the
Yes.
endorphins, and all of that.
Yes,
Talk-
absolutely.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. So, like you said, exactly what you said. When you're working out, the body is releasing adrenaline and endorphins, and so your whole spirit is lifted without doing anything else, just because of that natural biological reaction that happens. And then add to that when I start seeing results. And I want to talk a little bit about that too, because I know a lot of people get hung up with getting on the scales every day. Don't do it.
Well, I
do
have
not.
to, but-
Do not do it, because muscle weighs more than fat, but it is more compact than fat. So again, I always tell people, base it on how your clothes are fitting and how do you feel. Where's your energy level? You're going to notice that your clothes are a little baggier in those underarms and those thighs, because muscle is more compact. But yet, if I get on the scales,
You may weigh more.
I may weigh more.
Right.
And that's very devastating to some people, because they don't realize that correlation, that muscle is compact, but it also weighs more. Use the judgment of how are my clothes fitting, and then, like I said, use your energy level. It's amazing. Once you start to establish, we talk about habits, and exercise to me is a very healthy habit that once you get started, you don't want to miss. It becomes contagious, and you seek that natural adrenaline rush, that natural high, plus top onto that seeing, like I just said, I went from 1 push-up today to now in 3 or 4 days, I can do 2 push-ups. I can do 5 jumping jacks. I can walk 15 minutes without getting winded, versus last week when I was walking maybe only 12 minutes before I got winded. All, again, gauged against yourself. I tell people you have to be a little bit selfish. When you think about working out, you have to be selfish. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I mean that is your time. There is no greater gift than your health. And whether that's a gift that you're giving to yourself, but you're also giving that to other people. Because if you're a healthy individual, you are contributing to your community, you are contributing to your family, to your friends. You are much more beneficial to everyone when you're a healthy person. And so be a little selfish. Pencil in that time. I'm not saying you have to go to the gym every day. In fact, there are things that you can do at your house. There are things that you can do to incorporate more physical activity into your day, and we'll talk about those, without even really having to make any change to your daily routine. For example, I always say, park in the healthiest spot in the lot. And people are like, what's the healthiest spot in the lot? The furthest away. So when you go to Walmart, park at the furthest away spot. Because think how many more steps you're adding by parking here versus here.
And I say, do what I say, not what I do.
I know you, Linda. You're very active. You
Thank
do
but-
amazing.
But I would not park at the farthest parking lot. I would get as close to the handicap parking spot as I can get.
But then you're going in. You're getting out and doing it. So think about those things too. When I'm parking in the healthiest spot, I'm parking farthest away. Maybe Wednesdays. Let's say every Wednesday when you go into your office, you're going to take the stairs. If you have an office on the second floor,
Yeah.
or you're going to, instead of emailing everybody on a Wednesday, you're going to get up and go hand deliver a message to their desk. Now,
Oh, I like that. I like
small things that we can do within our businesses. I'm in my home, but let's say while I'm doing dishes, I'm going to stand at my kitchen sink and I'm going to do heel raises while I'm doing dishes. Or while I'm watching TV, I'm going to do some lean back crunches against my couch.
When I'm watching 24.
When you're watching 24, do some lean back crunches, okay? On the commercial breaks. When a commercial break hits, instead of just sitting there, I'm going to practice standing up in my chair or off my couch, and then I'm going to sit back down. And then I'm going to stand up. And I'm going to do that for the duration of the commercial break. Again, have I added any extra equipment? No. Have I added any extra time? No, because I'm going to be sitting there watching TV anyway. So it's just looking for things like that that we can do to add some extra activity into our day.
Let me tell you what I do. I do a lot of work on my phone so that I'm not sitting, but therefore I'm standing. And because I have COPD, if I stand for long periods of time, then I get all stuffy. So what I do is walk in place. And I need to use my pedometer and measure
See how many steps you're
I do.
actually taking.
And I used to do that a lot, no matter what I was doing at the countertop, and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 200 steps at a time. So and it's so easy to do. I mean, I just start doing it.
And then it becomes a habit.
Yes.
So then I think you probably were doing it and not even really thinking about doing it.
Right.
Because every time you were standing there, your feet just kind of automatically started to do that. You know, when you're sitting at a stoplight, I always tell people, when you're sitting at a stoplight, push your belly button towards your spine. Relax your neck. Push that belly button in. What are we doing? We're strengthening core. What's that going to do? It's going to open us up. It's going to help us sit up straighter. So now I'm looking around and I'm straighter. And believe it or not, the world looks totally different from this perspective versus this perspective. Your whole mental outlook changes. That's the beauty of wellness, and that's the beauty of physical activity and releasing that adrenaline and releasing those endorphins. You just can't help but it becomes contagious. You'll get to the point where you won't be able to sit still. It's amazing.
And I like the idea of having a workout buddy. I think that because it's like an accountability partner.
Oh, absolutely.
So we can hold each other accountable. Are you going today? Well, I don't think so. Well, you know, I really want you to come today.
And
I'll come pick you up.
Exactly. Think about, too, it wouldn't necessarily have to be a person. Have you ever thought about that? Your dog can be your workout buddy. A shelter dog can be your workout buddy. How cool would it be to go to the animal shelter once a week, once every couple weeks? They have a beautiful dog park. Take a dog. Walk through the dog park up at the animal shelter.
Neat.
What a win-win. Dog's getting exercise, you're getting exercise, you're getting outside in the fresh air. And I think that's another thing. People don't realize how important, especially in the winter. We've got shortened daylight hours, so when that sun is out, how important is it to get out, get some of that sunshine so that we can get, we can make that vitamin D and utilize that, get the sunshine, get out in the fresh air. How invigorating to walk out and feel, that breath of fresh air and that cold chill in your face, it'll wake you up. And again, release those endorphins, release that adrenaline. So when we think about winter activities, definitely don't rule out going outside. Now, I know we're in Indiana, so we've got to look at if it's obviously snowing, icy, things like that, probably not suitable to be out. But, and the other thing too, think about, even after the snow has melted or the ice has melted, there can still be some sand and some debris on our walking paths. So we've got to look at those things before we go outside. But then, by all means, out the door. We have a beautiful park. Park Road has such a nice sidewalk that we can walk up and down. The rock trail or the rock snake, go take a look at the rock snake
Where's
up there.
The rock
it's
snake?
Right there at the little park. If you come on up Park Road and don't turn onto 30th Street, go straight across, and then behind like the bowling alley where it is that
On
trail?
Nickel Plate?
Nickel Plate.
Oh, it's Nickel Plate.
Nickel
Okay.
Plate Trail. And they've started with the rock snake, and they keep adding to that, and there's a little sign, and it tells about the kids painting the rocks and adding to it. But, get out and enjoy that winter air and that sunshine. It's so, so important. With that said, think about what you're wearing. Okay, when we go outside in the winter, especially, we need to look at layering our clothing. So we want to start with a layer that is more of a dry wick material, something that fits a little close to the body. That's your base layer. Then you want to put on an insulating layer, and that should be something like wool or maybe a fleece that's going to help pull that moisture out and let it evaporate. Then if it would happen to be windy, which can be definitely in Indiana, windy or raining, a layer that's waterproof or at least water repellent over the top of that. Now, that layer, unless it is actually windy or raining, I would take that off during my workout. But then when I'm starting to bring my cool down in, put that layer back on so that we don't get too chilled. Looking at gloves, same thing, maybe even layering those gloves, something on our head, or an earband or a hat on our head. And I know a lot of the stores now are selling winter gear that is designed for people that want to, like, are more serious runners, walkers, hikers that are out there for the duration. There is some special equipment that you can purchase for that. But that would be one thing. What am I wearing? And then shoes would be another big thing. And this would be the shoe part of it. Whether you're in a gym or you're outside, shoes are paramount. Spend the money on the shoes, because when you think about it, that's your base.
Yeah.
If your feet are not properly supported and aligned, everything from that point up is going to suffer. So ankles, knees, hips, back, shoulders, necks. If I don't have the proper shoes, whether it's they don't fit properly, they don't have the proper arch support, if I'm not in the proper shoes, everything takes that brunt or a possible risk of an injury. So spend the money on the shoes. There are several websites out there that you can go to, and they'll have you like step on a piece of paper and then look at, wet your foot, step on the piece of paper, pick your foot up, see the pattern, and then match it on their website to see, do I have a high arch? And if I do, then in their brand of shoes, these are the shoes that are going to match that high arch. Okay, there are stores, the Running Company, I believe there's one in Cincinnati, there's one in Indy, around the Fishers area, I believe, and they will kind of do the same thing. So take the time to invest in a good quality pair of shoes that's suitable for your activity. If you say, well, I don't know what my activity is going to be, look at a good cross-training shoe, because a cross-training shoe is going to be suitable for a lot of different activities. Look at the sole of that shoe and the tread that's on that shoe, because again, if you're going to be outside, you might want a shoe that has a little more aggressive tread, because that's going to give you a little more traction, that's going to give you a little more secure footing, as opposed to I'm on a gym court that's smooth, and then maybe I want a shoe that doesn't have as much traction and grip to it so that I don't, catch my foot, but I actually glide more across the surface. So that's another thing to think about. Gear and shoes, very important.
So with shoes, when do we know when it's time to get a new pair?
Good question. That's different for everybody. But I think your biggest tip is, if you've been wearing those shoes and everything felt fine, but then you start to notice a little bit of aching in your knees, a little bit of aching in your hips, a little bit of aching in your back, that's when I would definitely say it's time. It's time to look. And I will tell you from my own experience, the shoes that I wear when I teach my fitness classes, I only wear them in the gym. They never go outside. By the time I'm ready to retire them, they still look brand new. On the outside, those shoes, if I showed them to you, you would be like, oh yeah, those shoes look brand new. And they do. But the arch of my foot is very high. So when that inside support starts to break down, if I don't get a new insole to put in there, or I don't change out those shoes, I can tell. Because I start to ache in my ankles, start to ache in my knees, and then it just kind of moves on up from there. So just because your shoes don't look worn out doesn't mean that they might not be breaking down on the inside, and it might be time to get a new pair, okay? And so like I said, and I also encourage people, buy a couple of pairs of shoes and swap them out. Don't repeatedly wear that same pair, because even though you're spending more money up front, it will balance itself out, because both pairs then will last a little longer, because you're going to be swapping them out. Okay.
Well, one of the questions, there were a couple of questions, but one is, what should people who haven't been physically active, shouldn't they first talk to their physician?
Absolutely.
Their medical health or physical health PCP?
Yes, absolutely.
And find out what they should or should not be doing?
Correct.
Or if they have I have, I forget what it's called, but I'm a part of the congestive heart clinic. So before I do a lot of things, I check with my cardiologist.
Absolutely.
I also just had a recent bone scan. It was not very good. Imagine that. So I need to look at exercise that's, what do
Gonna
they
help you
call
build
that?
some bone density, some weight bearing, weight bearing exercise.
Exercising. So those kinds of things I think would be helpful to people who are, tune in and are
Absolutely.
watching.
Absolutely.
this.
I would definitely, for a beginning exerciser, recommend talking with your physician or even getting a physical. If you've not had a physical, getting a physical, because there can be some of those hidden things. And we definitely, and as a fitness person, I like to know that about my participants. Because, for example, one thing, sometimes people are on what they call a beta blocker, and it's designed to help keep their heart rate steady or at a certain pace. So when we're working out, and I tell my people when we take our break, take your pulse, we count that, and then I have a chart, and they look at it, and I say your heart rate should be in this zone. Somebody that's on a beta blocker, their heart rate is not going to go up because that's what that medicine is designed to do, keep that heart rate steady and low. So for them, they can't use that chart, that heart rate chart. We've got to use what we call a perceived exertion scale. And I always tell people, base it on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. 0, you're on the couch eating bonbons, no worries.
Snickers.
10, Snickers. 10 is I do one more thing and I'm going to pass out and be on the ground. Find your 6, 7, 8 range. And somebody that's on a beta blocker, that's the type of monitoring tool that we use for them. So again, talk with your physician and then make sure you tell your trainer or your fitness instructor, hey, I'm on this medicine and this, because then that helps us know how can we assess and how can we help keep you safe
Yes.
in assessing where your progress is and things like that. So definitely.
And knowing what they want to achieve.
Absolutely.
At this point in my life, what I would want to achieve is just, I have very stiff shoulders because I was injured in an auto accident in '88. So, and we didn't work those because there was no therapy prescribed. So I really need to work those. So we each come with kind of a different set
Sure.
of objectives, and I think our medical people can help us with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we want fitness to be functional. We want to be doing things that are, like you said, going to keep you functioning and improve your function,
Right.
improve that overall quality of life. And that's where I think exercise definitely can come in. And the beauty of that is, I think a lot of people think, oh, to be exercising, I have to be in the gym, on the treadmill. I have to be on a stationary bike. No. Taking that walk, like we talked about, or you talked about in the last meeting, the art strolls. That leisurely walk where I'm enjoying the scenery. Going fishing. Going, ice skating or rollerblading, or maybe just out on a nature walk. Maybe it's something as simple as one day a week, I'm going to walk down to the mailbox and back to get the mail instead of driving out to the mailbox and driving back to the house. Maybe it's one day instead of going to the grocery and pushing the cart out, I'm going to pack a couple of those bags and carry them to the car and then come back and get the next round. So I think, like you said, we don't have to think about it being all in to the point of no return.
It should become a lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And it used to be, and the reason you and I kind of resonate together, part of the reason, is that it used to be part of my lifestyle. And I think it probably has added to longevity, even though I had some unhealthy habits,
Sure.
Early on in life that
You-
I would recommend that people not partake of.
So, last couple things, hydration. I don't think people realize sometimes how important it is to stay hydrated. So getting that water in, definitely a plus. Stretching, warming up and cooling down. Before you do any kind of exercise, let's think about getting the blood flowing and warming up. Let's think about cooling down at the end and maybe holding some of those stretches a little longer at the end. And then nutrition.
Tara, thank you so very much for coming in and sharing with us
welcome.
today. You're an inspiration to
Thanks.
vintage and those of us who are just starting on our journey. I appreciate your time.
Thanks. It's been fun.